It wasn't a nice time to trade, I would say, because everybody was very scared coming in, so people was kind of tested your customer service skills, to be honest. But yeah, just very lucky that we could stay open.
With lockdown sweeping the globe, it meant that the only option was to use online shopping. This meant that smaller businesses really struggled, but larger businesses like Apple, Amazon, Shopify and JD really saw the largest profits they'd ever seen.
Stocks were quite difficult as well, I will say that. So whereas, the supermarkets would very quickly run out of toilet rolls and pasta and tin goods, I had loads because people would always start with the supermarket and kind of go back from there. But yeah, it was interesting times.
It wasn't just the UK that experienced these problems. The United States faced 40% of its businesses closing down during the lockdowns, and Italy saw its biggest ever stock market crash of going down by 41%.
The business was affected quite hugely in the fact that obviously we had to close the shop and, stay at home and not be able to trade. So financially it was quite a stressful situation for us to be under.
I did get one, what do they call it, grant.
Oh, right.
To keep going, but that was it.
Right.
I noticed that quite a few other charity organisations closed down. I think there were 4 that actually closed after the initial lockdown because they just couldn't survive that period of time. So we lost quite a number of charity retailers on the high street during the time.
The amount of UK in-store shoppers had dropped by 78% between January 2020 and January 2021. Because of this, the UK unemployment rate had gone from 3.4% in 2019 to 5.4% in 2020.
Initially, whatever the government, had told us to do, I think so it was like 3 or 4 months in the beginning, and then we came back for a few weeks and then we had to close again. So, as government told us to do, we did.
We're pretty convinced that we had a run of it in the December before the March when it was announced, and I think we all kind of pretty much had immunity, if I'm honest.
The thing for us during that period of being open, what was different was we were only allowed to have certain people come in, certain amount of people, so it did put a strain on the business because the flow was slower and you had to halt the flow, so it did impact the business that way. Just the amount of people, the amount of footfall, and then obviously a lot of people who just didn't want to come in because they were too afraid to. So, we did see a huge sales drop during that period of time.
I'd say initially we were a lot busier. It was quite funny at the time actually because everybody coming in was kind of saying, we'll always shop with you. We didn't realise you sold this range of goods, everything else. That's obviously massively dropped back the other way now, but I'd say we've still gained customers from it. Opening hours stayed the same, luckily, and I didn't have to close down, luckily. But guidelines every day seem to change. I think a lot of businesses found that, and you didn't know if you were doing the right thing for doing wrong. It wasn't a nice time to trade, I would say, because everybody was very scared coming in, so people was, kind of tested your customer service skills, to be honest.
Because of this, the UK's unemployment rates had risen from 3.8% in 2019 to 5.4% in 2020.
There are still a few sort of volunteers that tend to not come in because of COVID, but other than that, no, we're functioning as normal. Obviously, the government, we were all put on furlough, but that was just sort of retrospect across the whole board, wasn't it? So yeah, the government did support us in that way.
In conclusion, the pandemic has clearly had a big impact on businesses both locally and globally, and both small and big shops. Some have benefited while others have faced difficult times and been close to bankruptcy.